Chapter 19, Break Your Arm. Just as Su Ping was reading the quest, Fan Xiaoyu smashed the table and her face was contorted with anger. If there's nothing wrong with the food you sold, how come a pet with no appetite cannot stop eating that food? You'd better come clean. Come clean? Su Ping came back to his senses. His eyebrows twitched when he looked at the hand on the counter. A glint of coldness flashed past his dark eyes, but he contained his fury. The two people were battle pet warriors and he was no match for them. The host doesn't have to worry. There is nothing inside this store that can threaten your life. Anything and anyone that shows killing intent towards you will be erased, even when the immemorial savior arrives. Su Ping was stunned speechless. He didn't know that the pet store had such abilities. Didn't it mean that this store was his strongest shelter? With the system's promise, Su Ping felt less worried. Looking at the two indifferently, he said, "Do you have proof that there is inappropriate stuff mixed in my pet food?" Proof? Fan Yujing's glare turned colder as he went on, "My words are the proof. Believe me. I will have the Pet Food Association come here to investigate at once and your dirty little store will be shut down." Su Ping raised his eyebrows. He wasn't afraid of the Pet Food Association. After all the food was natural and harvested by him, there was nothing wrong with it. That being said, the investigation procedures of the Pet Food Association would be complicated and it would affect his business. Besides, that would also harm the store's reputation. That would put him at a disadvantage when it came to finishing the system's assignments. At the same time, Fan Xiaoyu noticed the many pet food bottles placed on the shelf behind the counter. When she saw the prices, she cried out in alarm, "Brother, look, this is a clip joint indeed." Su Yujing took a glance. He pulled a long face at once. "I didn't know gangster shops were this bold in the outer town. This is a place where there are no rules nor laws." Su Ping snorted. "A high price invariably means that this is a clip joint? Don't buy or come here and defame people just because you cannot afford it. The things I sell are attractive in price and quality. You get what you pay for. The price is more than reasonable. I can't afford it?" Fan Xiaoyu laughed out of extreme anger. Even if the price were set 10 times the amount, it would be nothing but a casual buy for them. How could he accuse them of not being able to afford anything? Besides, the pet food he had was 10 times more expensive than regular pet food. Who gave the owner the courage to call it attractive in price and quality? You get what you pay for. Nice try. I'd like to know what that thing priced at 20,000 coins can do. Can it make someone live forever? Fan Xiaoyu burst into laughter out of fury. Su Ping answered calmly, "Only 20,000 coins and you want to eat it and live forever. You're not looking for crap to eat, are you? You." Fan Xiaoyu opened her beautiful eyes and bellowed, "Say that again? Am I wrong?" Su Ping shrugged. "How dare you insult my sister?" Fan Yujing's eyes glared in coldness. He made a swift move and reached his hand to grab Su Ping's neck at lightning speed. However, right at that moment, a sense of fatal danger rose in Fan Yujing's mind. Before Fan Yujing could think about it, he heard a cracking sound. It was as if his arm had been pushed down by something. The bones in his arm were fractured from the elbow down. The dull pain reached him in an instant. Fan Yujing gasped in pain. He stepped back at once to keep a distance from Su Ping. "Brother?" Everything happened too fast. Still angry, Fan Xiaoyu only saw how her brother was about to teach the other guy a lesson, to then see him suddenly step back as if something had struck him. Fan Xiaoyu turned pale with fright as she saw Fan Yujing with a broken arm. Her brother was not an average boy. He had graduated and joined the Rangers as a powerful battle pet warrior. He was far superior than her. How could his arm be broken? Su Ping was surprised by this as well. Inside, he heaved a sigh of relief. The system was freaking awesome, and this was a system of words. If it weren't for the fact that you didn't mean to end my life, it wouldn't be just your arm that would be broken. Su Ping sneered. He was a guy that had died over 100 deaths in cultivation plains. He had an acute sense of killing intent. Previously, Fan Yujing only intended to teach Su Ping a lesson and did not mean to murder him. Therefore, the system's punishment was not the most severe. Was it you who did this? Fan Xiaoyu turned around and stared at Su Ping, shocked. Who was this person that could easily break her brother's arm? Also, judging by his looks, she could tell that Su Ping was in his early 20s, younger than her brother. Wasn't it an indication that Su Ping was more talented than her brother? Fan Yujing was a person that had undertaken countless battles himself. While the pain from the broken arm was sharp, he managed to endure it. He was even more shocked than Fan Xiaoyu. Previously, in that instant, the sense of danger was still lingering in his heart like a needle, and it was hard to be erased. He didn't doubt that he had just visited the gates of hell. Who exactly are you? Fan Yujing took a deep breath, putting on a stern look. This person that could break his arm and was younger than him had to be a genius, not a halfpenny the worse than those glamorous talents in the Federation. This person was far from an unknown anonymous guy. As you can see, just a normal guy, a pet store owner, Su Ping said, calmly. Now, I believe we can communicate like equals. Fan Yujing's countenance changed. He kept a low voice. We didn't mean to offend you. It's just that this matter is related to our family. We were too anxious. It's funny. Su Ping chuckled. At the same time, inside, he was sighing. Right, only the powerful could have a say. Otherwise, people wouldn't even have the patience to listen to the explanation. The fist ruled even when the words were wrong. Didn't you ask me what the function of this is? Su Ping revisited that subject, saying in a nonchalant tone, these are colored Buddha leaves and can be regarded as a form of pet food. But this is disposable food. The only effect is that it can enlighten a pet's intelligence and increase the pet's power of understanding. Enlighten intelligence? Fan Yujing's expression changed once he heard this. All the items that could enlighten intelligence were sold at 100,000, at the very least. Why would this one only cost 20,000? Fan Xiaoyu, who was supporting her brother, was also stunned. She didn't expect that this garish thing would be a treasure that could enhance intelligence. Which pet ranks can be enlightened by these colored Buddha leaves? Fan Yujing voiced another question. Right at this moment, he was no longer regarding this owner as a shady businessman. What kind of trickster was able to break his arm without leaving a trace? Su Ping shrugged. It can be applied to all pets below the Beast King rank. Well? The siblings stared dumbfounded. All pets were inferior to Beast Kings. Didn't it imply that even pets of the 9th rank could use this? What treasure could enlighten the intelligence of a pet at the 9th rank? Such a treasure could not be purchased with 1 million, not to mention 100,000 coins. For a moment, the siblings were looking at Su Ping in a weird way. If this man were a fraud, he was unusually powerful. Such people were seldom con artists since they wouldn't have the need for it. But if he weren't a fraud, then why be so stupid as to sell such a top-level treasure at only 20,000 coins? Su Ping's mouth twitched as he noticed the funny glares the siblings threw at him. His heart was aching. Of course he knew that the price of 20,000 coins was low. Only the wealthy and ostentatious could regard this kind of price as reasonable. Chapter 20, Evolution. I told you. The items in this store are attractive both in price and quality. It is completely fair. Su Ping kept a poker face. The siblings could not utter a word. If Su Ping were telling the truth, then this was far from just being attractive in price and quality. He was practically selling at a sacrifice. The siblings looked at each other. They were shocked at the strength Su Ping demonstrated in that strike, but this matter still seemed surreal. Su Ping could tell that this pair was not convinced. He frowned. All of a sudden, he thought of an idea. "If you don't believe me, I have something here that can prove it to you," he calmly said. "What is it?" Fan Xiaoyu was confused. Su Ping took out a transparent glass bottle from behind the counter and 2 blue fruits were found in the bottle. Su Ping explained, "These are blue element fruits, with a low rank rating. This is a kind of food that is favored by advanced pets of the water family. With long-term administration, advanced pets of the family can have their abilities enhanced. If the low-rank pets of the water family can consume such a fruit, they will be directly promoted to the next rank." Promoted to the next rank directly? The siblings were startled. Things that could enable a direct rank promotion were extremely expensive, even those that were only for low-rank pets. The blue element fruit can only be consumed by pets of the first, second, and third rank, and only the first-time administration can show effects. The price is 8,700. Su Ping added indifferently, "If you guys can find some low-rank pets of the water family, you will see the truth with one test." Only 8,700? Once again, the siblings were speechless due to the appallingly low price. And yet, compared with the colored Buddha leaves, they found it understandable. "Well, as for low-rank pets of the water family, I don't have to get one elsewhere. I have one with me." Fan Xiaoyu blinked. "Sir, can we test it now?" she questioned. Su Ping raised his eyebrows. "Of course." "Good." Astral powers began to surge over Fan Xiaoyu. She lifted a hand and grabbed at something in the air. A vortex appeared, from which a light blue figure hopped out and landed on her shoulder. This was a blue dotted pet the size of a fist, shaped like a water polo ball. Only its big head could be seen, its 4 limbs were so short that they were hardly visible. Fountain Beast? As soon as Su Ping saw this little guy, he recognized it as a first-rank pet of the water family. This pet was extremely common and ordinary, so ordinary that almost every family had one. While those pets were merely at the first rank and their abilities could be practically ignored, they were loved by everyone. The reason was that fountain beasts could shoot water jets that were of no offensive value. To a large extent, they could help people save on household water. Many adventurers could also ask the fountain beasts for help when they were exploring and wanted to wash their hands, drink some water, or take a bath. Owning a fountain beast was like carrying a small water source. "Sir, will this work?" Fan Xiaoyu held the fountain beast in both hands and placed it in front of Su Ping. Su Ping answered, "Sure. But you have to pay for the blue element fruit first." "Well..." Fan Xiaoyu was hesitating. Fan Yujing stepped forward and took out a card. He transferred the money to Su Ping. "Sir, please commence." Su Ping heard the beautiful prompt tone of money entering his account. A faint smile climbed to his otherwise frigid face. He opened the bottle and took out a blue element fruit from it. In his store, this was the pet food only inferior to the colored Buddha leaf in terms of price. "Little guy, here you go." Su Ping handed the fruit to the fountain beast. The fountain beast had already smelled the blue element fruit. When Su Ping handed over the fruit, the fountain beast could not wait to open its mouth and gobble it down before asking its master for permission. The fruit with the size of a thumb was stuffed into its mouth. It was as if there were a drum filling the fountain beast's mouth, but soon the fruit was gone, the pet had swallowed it. 3 people had their eyes glued on the fountain beast, waiting for the effect to kick in. Su Ping had thought that the fountain beast would need some time to digest it. However, in less than 3 minutes, something began to happen to the fountain beast. The light blue spots on the fountain beast began to flow, like liquid. Then, the fountain beast's entire body swelled a bit. This swelling was painful for the fountain beast, so it began to roll around on the counter. While it rolled, the fountain beast would eject some water arrows. Su Ping used his hand to fend off the arrows. He noticed that it was somewhat painful when the water arrows struck his palm. Whoosh! All of a sudden, a much thicker water arrow was discharged. Su Ping had no time to defend against it, but in the next second, that water arrow was stopped by some invisible shield. On the other side, Fan Xiaoyu noticed something as she realized the fact that the water arrows ejected by the fountain beast were aggressive. She held up an astral shield to protect her brother and herself. The water arrows provoked ripples as they smashed against the astral shield. Her astral shield was of a high level and could fend off the water arrows easily. A moment later, the fountain beast stopped rolling around. Right then, it was 2 times as large as before. The 4 limbs that could not be seen earlier were still not visible. The limbs were short, but they were enough to support the fountain beast. It has evolved. Fan Xiaoyu opened her eyes wide. Since fountain beasts were highly popular, even a 7 or 8-year-old kid could tell exactly what fountain beasts looked like from the 1st rank to the 3rd rank. Naturally, Fan Xiaoyu would know. A flash of surprise appeared in Fan Yujing's eyes. This blue element fruit was an item that could facilitate evolution. While the fruit was only effective for low-rank pets, it was rare. Done. Su Ping breathed a sigh of relief inside as he saw the result. Do you have any other questions? Su Ping asked. The siblings came back to their senses. They looked at each other and their expressions were troubled. Sorry. We offended you in the beginning, Fan Yujing said, resisting the pain of his broken arm, slightly gnashing his teeth. Fan Xiaoyu's expressions changed again and again, but eventually, she gave tacit consent to the status quo. They knew that a person that could sell such items for evolution and probably an item for intelligence enlightenment could never be a bad businessman. As such, the fruits this person sold to their grandpa could not be the usual kind either. That was why the vermilion bird loved them. No problem. Su Ping nodded. He accepted their apology. For the time being, it was the other party that had taken a beating. However, without the system's protection, he would have been the one suffering humiliation. After all, given the other party's domineering attitude, they would never listen to him. Awkwardness ensued with a short moment of silence. Fan Xiaoyu hesitated for a bit as she saw the colored Buddha leaf. Sir, will that work? She asked. Su Ping raised his eyebrows. Was she still doubting him? I already made the introduction. I won't repeat myself, he said, gloomily. Fan Xiaoyu saw that Su Ping had misunderstood her, so she wanted to explain at once. Before she could, Fan Yujing suddenly did something. He transferred the money to Su Ping and said, "We will take it." No amount of explanation could work better than an actual purchase. Fan Yujing felt it worthwhile to test it by spending 20,000. If this article was genuine, then it would be money more than well spent. If it was fake, 20,000 was nothing for him. He could make tens or hundreds of times more with any trip made for opening up virgin soil. Fan Xiaoyu was surprised by her brother's action, but she soon understood his intention. She said nothing more. Still, she felt a bit reluctant inside. Chapter 21, First Main Quest. Really? Su Ping twitched his eyebrows in surprise when he heard the sound alert of money received. He didn't expect this boy to be so swift in action. The 20,000 coins entered his account, and that could be converted to 200 points of energy. With the 200 points of energy, he could buy a bottle of awakening potion at once, which could make him a battle pet warrior. While he was delighted, Su Ping kept a calm look. At the same time, he felt reluctant to sell it. After all, the colored Buddha leaves were more valuable than what the price indicated. If it weren't for the fact that money made outside the store could not be converted to energy points, he would have tried to sell the colored Buddha leaves elsewhere so he could name the price at will. System, can we not increase the price? Su Ping asked in his mind, unwilling to sell it at this price. The system's pricing is reasonable. There's no need to change the price, the system replied. Su Ping felt he was choking on his own blood. His face darkened. The siblings were baffled as they saw this anguished look on Su Ping's face. Others would be unhappy when a deal fell through. Why would this owner pull a long face when a deal came through? What a weirdo. Here. Su Ping handed the plant to Fan Yujing. Fan Xiaoyu took it over for her brother. How do you eat this? She was curious. How? Su Ping said indifferently, chew it up so you don't choke. Fan Xiaoyu was on the verge of spitting out blood in anguish. Taunted by his words, she stood there, at a loss, and could not come up with anything else to say. Fan Yujing didn't mind seeing his sister being humiliated. Sir, how many pieces of scarlet stone fruits are left? I will take them all, said Fan Yujing. Su Ping's expression softened a bit as another order was being placed. He turned around and picked up the bottle with scarlet stone fruits to count the number. One piece of fruit is 130 and there are 22 left. Altogether, it would be 2,860 coins. Is that 130 for one piece of fruit? Fan Xiaoyu came back to her senses, only to be stunned again. You are selling on a per-fruit basis? Should I sell them in slices? Su Ping glared at her. Fan Xiaoyu. Fan Yujing had already noticed that his grandpa didn't have many scarlet stone fruits left. He had been prepared for the price, so he didn't comment further. At least, for the moment, the scarlet stone fruit was the only thing the vermilion bird would eat. The price was still acceptable even though it was high. Fan Yujing paid up and collected his merchandise. He darted a glance to the other items on the counter but was no longer in the mood to probe. Let's go, he said to his sister. Fan Xiaoyu was in low spirits. She carried the food and left the store with her brother. When they got into their car, she snorted angrily. This person is despicable. I am furious. Su Ping lashed out on her several times. She had been grinding her teeth in wrath. She would have come forward to fight back if it weren't for the fact that Su Ping had displayed a horrifying strength. Fan Yujing didn't share her view. It is us that have been careless. I didn't know that we could meet such a person in this kind of small place. This person has the strength and is young, yet he is willing to spend his days in comfort here. I cannot figure him out. He is just purposely making a mystery out of simple things. Maybe he's a bastard from some big family and is homeless, so he has to come here and sell some family belongings just to make some money for food. Fan Xiaoyu conjured up the meanest assumption. With this said, she couldn't help but grin. The cloud over her mood had vanished into smoke. Fan Yujing was speechless after seeing how his sister was cheering herself up. All right now. You drive. Let's go to a good hospital to bind up this wound. Later, I will contact my friend and have him treat me, he said, grumpily. Fan Xiaoyu threw a look at his twisted arm. That grin was soon substituted by a frown. Her look became solemn. This person was far stronger than she was, to be able to hurt her brother this badly. She was sure that she was one of the best amongst her peers at school. She could never imagine that she could meet someone stronger in that remote and backward place. So mean. She bit her teeth in hatred again as she remembered how detached that person was. Buzzing, buzzing. The car was like a beast that had gone mad. The exhaust growled. Somehow, Fan Yujing felt something was wrong. In the next second, the car was launched forward. No. Hearing the car rushing away, Su Ping knew that the siblings were finally gone. He thought they had to be in a rush considering how fierce the exhaust sounded. Are they rushing to the hospital? Su Ping raised his eyebrows. He didn't think about it too much. Soon after, he shifted his focus on his account. He did the calculation. His eyes were filled with passionate feelings. 8,700 plus 20,000 plus 2,860 is equal to 31,560 coins. Altogether, that was over 30,000 coins. That would be 315.6 energy points when converted. Finally, I'm out of poverty, Su Ping teared up. He pulled up the system's shop and bought that awakening potion, worth 100 energy points without further ado. Minus 100. When the points of energy were deducted, Su Ping felt his pockets suddenly become heavy with an extra item added. He took it out. It was that bottle of awakening potion sold in the shop. Su Ping's eyes glowed. He asked at once, "System, how do I take this?" The awakening potion is made from an ancient underground spring. Take it orally, the system gave a simple reply. Su Ping was about to drink it at once when he suddenly remembered something. He left the counter, turned around, and closed the door. Then, he stepped into the back room. He opened the lid and poured the awakening potion into his mouth. It didn't feel like a flow of liquid, it was more like a mist. So warm. As soon as he took it, Su Ping felt this warm mist spreading across his body through his veins. His arms, legs, and back turned warmer at once. At the same time, his body seemed to be lighter until he felt he weighed nothing, as if he could just float when he stood on his tiptoes. Feeling this warmth, Su Ping could faintly hear some cracking sounds all over his body. That was a special sound that brought a marvelous feeling. It was as if every cell in him was sprouting and cracking, with new things bursting forth. This kind of disputing and revitalizing feeling was not exclusive to his physical body. He felt his brain was going through the same thing. He could hear a constant subtle cracking sound until it completely occupied his mind. After a long, long time. When everything quieted down, Su Ping opened his eyes again. A world that was distinct and in focus was revealed in front of his eyes. To his surprise, Su Ping realized that the darkroom and everything around could be seen vividly, including the protruding particles painted on the white walls. He heard the system's even tone, "Congratulations to the host on becoming a battle pet warrior. The main quest is initiated. Main quest, the host is to breed a pet of his own within 1 week. The aptitude of the pet shall not be lower than upper middle." Su Ping was astounded. The main quest? But there were strings attached. He had to have a pet with an upper middle level in aptitude. When he was training the lightning rat, Su Ping already had an idea about how strict the system was. A lightning rat that could be regarded as the best was only rated as below average by the system. He could hardly imagine how outstanding a pet that was rated at the upper middle level would be.